Hey guys, this is my video response for our readings this week. Um, the readings this week were pretty interesting to me. I have had some opinions on these issues, and they are issues that I deal with fairly regularly, um, as I'm sure most of us do. Bullying, the special education laws, these are things that almost on a daily basis affect my day and the day at the school. I'll start with the bullying and cyberbullying, as that was where our readings began for the most part. Um, for me personally, I think bullying is one of the most overstated problems we have. Um, our readings were talking about counties and districts having to take bullying seriously and having protocols in order basically to shield themselves from lawsuits. We do, and I'm sure most of the districts everybody working for do as well. These things, basically nowadays, parents and students are aware that bullying is a catchphrase that sets in motion a lot of things that have to happen, very time consuming, for what is 98% of the time, at least in my experience, not bullying. If a student wants to uh, get checked out from school or change the situation, they call it bullying. If a parent is unhappy with discipline issued in a situation, say a fight or something else, then they claim bullying. Every once in a while, there is bullying. Last year at school, we had a situation where a young man's name came up repeatedly with different individuals, and we did obviously find that as bullying and remove that young man from the school. Um, but like I said, the vast majority of the time, what is going on is an argument between a group or a pair of individuals, and is two ways. But with the emphasis on bullying and everything that has happened now, we've just kind of come 180, where it is a huge uh, amount of time wasted to make sure that you are, in my opinion, CYA from down the road, that you have taken the allegations seriously, that you have given them time, so that if something comes back later, you have the paper trail to say that you did an investigation, to say that you spoke to people, parties involved, and if there was anything going on, did your best to get it stopped. Cyberbullying. Flip back through my notes here, but I think the best thing that I saw about cyberbullying was basically, um, let's see, that it should go by location. Um, Both at the high school and the middle school, we were constantly dealing with cyber issues between students, things that start on Snapchat. Right now at the middle school, Snapchat is the bane of my existence. And tracing back who posted what and how it did, whether it was Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, which I don't use very much anymore, Kick, um, multiple other platforms that they have, and they feel like it's not them. You know, they have a sense of bravery in the cyber world that they would not. So they will say things that they wouldn't say face to face, and then the school has to kind of deal with those. I really liked at the end of that reading where they talked about using the location, that basically if something was done at school or at a school event was created there, it's the school's purvey. I think we're asking the schools to solve so many problems. When it came to cyberbullying, in many cases, you're asking the schools to be detectives. And I agreed with the author. We have so many more rights. So when I'm working with my SRO, whether it's my school I'm at now, my school previously, anything that gets into a phone situation, you know, we knew I was going to be the one to look at the phone, search the phone. My capability to do that, my legal right to do that far exceeds law enforcement's. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but it's a fact, and it's a fact. The author to me is accurate in pointing out that it's a gap between the rights, between the speech rights of students, the search and seizure rights of students, and then what they have in the cyber world. And I think that their position on cutting our access and limiting our access to things that are at school is valid. I think really things outside of that should be a law enforcement issue or something else. I'm not sure the schools should be the ones responsible for monitoring and controlling students' use of social media. That's something the parents need to be involved in, and I think there's another thing that's really just a ton of time and takes away from the instruction and curriculum leadership that maybe you would like to do. It's necessary we do it because they do end up causing disruptions in the learning environment. I would say over half of the fights that I've had at high school and middle school over the last 5 years started on social media. So it is a big part, but I do think that the author's very valid. We have far too many rights as far as to their social media, and I was shocked to read about the districts who use the monitoring programs to basically mine and look social media. I would have never known that was a thing, and it seems like a huge overreach and an expense and a financial burden schools shouldn't be doing, to me. As far as special education, the 504s, the IEPs, and the court cases that go with them, that also, I probably have too strong of opinions to list here. I think IEPs have become much too routine. It's pretty much become if you ask for an IEP, you get one. If we're not sure why you get one, we'll call you OHI or other health impaired or something and put it on there. Maybe, if you want to say you're ADHD, we'll give you an IEP. Even though probably, every teenager's ADHD is part of being a teenager. And the article about the 504s was just kind of infuriating to me. The principle of it was basically, hey, since the Schaefer case and saying that, schools only have to give a reasonable education, they have to make some adjustments to do that, that's not good enough. We should go to the 504 and go after the schools and sue the schools in that route, because that requires equal education, not, a level of education, a standard. I did really enjoy the article that talked about having uniform and a plan IEP, because at the end of the day, that is what we do. IEPs are standing, you get in there and you hear certain code words, you know what you're going to do as far as the IEP. And the reason is that not because schools are lazy, but there's only so many things within our scope, within the purvey that we have to get done. So, when we're creating BIPs, when we're creating testing accommodations and looking at these things, they're going to be similar. So, I believe the author was a female on that one. We read a lot, but they discuss the unwritten rules that we have with these unwritten plans that we squeeze everybody in. 100% accurate to me. And making something where you have an open process where parents, community members can be there, and you can talk about what the program should look like for these people, what costs we're willing to expend. I mean, that's a huge thing. Yesterday, we had a meeting where the parent basically all but wants a one-to-one for their student. They're not satisfied with anything that we have to give. to the point that now the school's applying for a paraeducator. Child doesn't have a 504. This is a child with a lot of mental issues, not handicap, not disabilities, but issues from PTSD and things, and some sad things. But we can't offer that. But this entitlement of you have to do everything, pooling coordinators, pooling teachers out of the classroom to give one-to-one attention, while these same teachers could be working with groups of students. It's really kind of, the world is turned upside down as far as special education laws and what we do to benefit them. So reading about the 504, who was basically saying, look, IEPs have limits, and in an IEP you don't have to give the maximum education, you have to give some semblance. That's not good enough. Get them under the 504 rule. Man, that kind of got all over me a little bit, because I think, once again, schools are being asked to do things that they weren't, and that was why our poster, with all the things that we had added, 70s, 80s, 90s, to what schools have to do, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. And then we're being blamed for failing, and so many of our resources, so many of our positional allocations and funding go to students that and taking care of them, that I'm not sure even public school is the best benefit for them. That there shouldn't be, like some of those schools we say, a special school or a secondary school. And it's just, since the creation of IDEA and the IEPs and the things in the 70s, and I know we had a reading where it basically talked about the explosion in the number of students identified since then, it's just really gotten out of whack. And so I enjoyed this unit. I enjoyed reading about the bullying, the cyberbullying. These are current issues. They're real world. Live them every day. So it was just awesome to read some of these court cases and see that balance, see what I see in my everyday world, in the legal world and the academic world. So that's my kind of post, and hope everybody has a good week and good luck with our projects that are due this week. Thanks.